The king was willing to marry off his beautiful and only daughter to anyone, even an ugly beggar. But there was one condition. Whoever could identify what animal the hide came from would win the princess's hand. The first to arrive was a 40-year-old prince. The princess was dismayed to see him, but in her father's presence she had no choice. The prince examined the hide carefully with a magnifying glass, then said confidently, "This is hippopotamus skin." The princess looked nervously at her father, but the king said, "You're wrong." The princess breathed a sigh of relief. Then the second prince arrived. He knew every animal there was. He studied the hide closely, felt it with his hands and said, "Your Majesty, this is wild boar skin." But the king rejected this answer too. Later, a handsome young prince came. The princess was delighted by his grace and said to her father, "I want to marry this prince. If he's wrong, please lie." But the king was a man of his word. The young prince looked at the hide and said, "This might be the skin of a giant manatee." Unfortunately, he was wrong too. The princess was heartbroken. Finally, a tall, gigantic wild man burst into the court. Everyone panicked. The princess was terrified. The guards seized him, but the king said he had told everyone that anyone had the right to participate in the challenge. What he didn't know was that the wild man had lived in the jungle for so long that his nose was sharper than a dog's. He sniffed the hide and said, "This is flea beast skin." The terrified princess looked at her father, but when she saw the shock on her father's face, she ran away crying because the wild man's answer was correct. The king had raised a pet beast since childhood. Over time, it had grown enormous, but one day it died of illness. That hide was from that very flea beast. The next day, the wild man came to collect the princess. She was terrified, but there was nothing she could do because the wild man was now her husband. He took the princess back to his home in the jungle. Exhausted, the princess fainted. The wild man went to her and tried to help her up, but she couldn't walk anymore. So he had her sit on his shoulders. Carrying her, he climbed up a towering, steep mountain because he lived at the top of a cliff. The princess was horrified when she saw her new home because the wild man ate raw meat and the house was littered with nothing but bones. Now the princess's life had become a living hell.